good afternoon and thanks for joining us on Nationwide. I am Isaac Nkuma. President Muhammadu Buhari is in Beijing ahead of the high-level talks with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping on the development of Nigeria's infrastructure. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the president arrived Capitol International Airport at about 6 o'clock in the evening local time. He was received by senior Chinese government officials led by the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Zhang Ming, Nigeria's acting ambassador to China, and other top government officials, including governors of some states as well as ministers, were also at the airport to welcome President Buhari to the most populated and fastest growing economy in the world. During the visit, the president is expected to discuss with Chinese authorities on greater support for the development of infrastructure in critical sectors of the nation's economy. To this end, several new arrangements and memoranda of understanding are to be concluded and signed by officials of the two countries towards boosting trade and economic relations. While in China, the president and his delegation will undertake a guided tour of the Shanghai Free Trade Zone and Guangzhou Economic and Technological Development Zone to gain more useful insights and understanding of the policies that underpinned China's economic growth in recent years. This is in keeping his administration's prioritization of economic diversification and industrialization to create job opportunities. And back home in Nigeria, the Speaker Ecowas Parliament, Mustafa Siselo, has lauded Nigeria, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin and Niger for exhibiting an exemplary conduct of elections in recent times. He was speaking at the opening session of an extraordinary session of the Parliament in Abuja. Joseph Orok reports.
He said with the successful conduct of presidential elections in these countries, the sub-region was set to reverse the hitherto dictatorial tendencies, thereby consolidating democracy. The Ecowas president noted that with the dynamic leadership style of President Buhari, especially in the fight against Boko Haram, it is reassuring that terrorism and insurgency cannot succeed against the collective will of the people. He explained that the extraordinary session is primarily to consider the draft strategic plan of the Ecowas Parliament for the next 4 years.
It will be the responsibility of the ad hoc committee that will work on this strategic plan to determine the key areas that they will have to work on.
And coming from the speech of the Speaker, he commended the cooperation of the Cameroon, the Chad, Niger, and the rest of it, because you know that most of these terrorists came from some of these countries.
President of the Ecowas Commission, Marcel Alain de Souza, said the collaboration between the parliaments and the commission will further help member states to tackle various challenges affecting their people. 4 new members of the parliament took their oath of office, while an ad hoc committee to work out the strategic plan of the parliament is expected to be commissioned. Joseph Orok, NTA News.
The acquisition of technical and entrepreneurial skills by Nigerians has been identified as a major step towards diversifying the Nigerian economy and creating needed jobs. Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, said this on NTA's flagship program, Good Morning Nigeria, while discussing unemployment in Nigeria. Oyemi Ajayi has the details.
Gone were those days when a Nigerian graduate has the choice to choose from many job offers immediately after graduation. Today, it is a different ballgame as graduates roam about the streets searching for non-existing jobs. The National Bureau of Statistics has put the number of underemployed and unemployed persons in Nigeria to more than 21 million as at the 4th quarter of 2015. Senator Chris Ngige says this situation is unacceptable, hence the resolve of the government to change the tide.
I would have wanted a situation where the state governments will go into a lot of farming. They have the land. The land use adverse powers of the land on the governors of states. It's them that should enter agriculture. It's them that should enter mining.
So what's stopping them?
I don't know.
Speaking on the reaction of Nigerian Labour Congress to the labour market situation, the guest advised the private sector to obey national labour laws that regulate employment.
When you have this type of situation, we need to first look at, in the short term,
what can we do? And some of the job interventions in the short term do not need to be, the regular types of jobs. They can be short-term job creation, either to do particular public works or to address particular issues.
Some of the guests also called on Nigerians, especially the youths, to acquire entrepreneurial and technical skills rather than depending on white-collar jobs.
We train a lot of young people every day. We take them to organizations to be placed. And one of the key issues that a lot of private organizations are complaining about are skills, not just their technical skills for a start, but their soft skills. Our advantage is the population that we have. We have a lot of young people who are very industrious, who are very hardworking, who are very self-reliant, but what incentives are we providing for these young people to strive in their various businesses?
We came up with the Youth Entrepreneurship Support Program. That is a 10 billion naira scheme where we envisage we are going to fund 1,200 young aspiring entrepreneurs to the tune of 5 million naira each.
The state governors were also advised to sit up and look inwards in harnessing natural resources that will shore up the economy and create jobs. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
In the meantime, unemployment may be taking a mental toll on both developed and developing economies as jobs in the oil industry takes a nosedive. Joy Osiago reports on the growing global challenge of joblessness and its effect in Canada, especially Alberta, one of Canada's oil-producing provinces, which has reached its highest level of 7.9% in over 20 years.
Financial planners are always reminding clients that the foundation of a healthy society is a sustainable and diverse economy that can generate wealth for businesses and the people. In the current aggressive global market, where industries are shifting quickly, the importance of a diversified economy becomes evident. Countries that once depended on the oil sector to sustain their economies are beginning to think out of the box, as the current situation in the oil market has pushed many workers out of their jobs. In a critical analysis by Generation Jobless, unemployment has become a major problem facing the 3.5 billion people across the universe, especially those under 27 years. The menace is not restricted to developing economies, as countries like Canada have a fair share of the crisis. Alberta, a wealthy oil-producing province in Canada, for instance, is having a hard time as workers in the oil sector are battling with sleepless nights. Canadian Treasury Board President says the government is concerned about the current situation.
It's a reminder to us of the need to have a diversified economic approach. The last government had a three-pronged economic strategy. It was oil, oil, and oil. We will make important investments in strategic infrastructure. We will invest in skills and training and Canadians and invest in the middle class.
Manufacturing, tourism, and the mining sectors are some of the key areas many governments are looking into to grow their economies. In Canada, Joy Osiago, NTA News.
And Nigeria's former representative to the United Nations, Dr. Maitama Sule, has appealed to Nigerians to be patient with the federal government in its efforts towards resolving the current fuel crisis. While interacting with journalists in Abuja, Dr. Maitama Sule has said the restructuring in the oil and gas sector will ultimately address the recurring hitches in the supply and distribution chain. Energy correspondent Hawa Saliu Adama completes the report.
No doubt, sites like this are gradually becoming the norm across Nigeria. Despite the frustration which motorists now live with, the good news, however, is that stakeholders in charge of the downstream subsector of the oil and gas industry have been on their toes, increasing supply to major cities and a commitment to ensuring a more lasting solution. Dr. Yusuf Maitama Sule, who served as Nigeria's First Minister of Power and Mines between 1959 and 1966, is worried by the situation, but however optimistic that the renewed commitment by government will yield results with the understanding of Nigerians.
I'm encouraged because the government is determined to do something. They are meeting now in order to have an immediate solution to the problem. They are going to sign agreement to have refineries in the country so that we may have permanent solution to this problem. And I think we ought to pray for the government, and we ought to exercise patience. Let there be constructive criticisms. Nigeria is a big country, mark you, and has the potentiality of leading the rest of Africa.
It could be recalled that Nigeria's 3 traditional refineries over time have been unable to perform at their installed capacities. With a daily petrol need of 35 to 40 million liters, plans are on for additional refineries to be co-located with the existing refineries to boost domestic refining to 695,000 barrels per day, while the Pipelines and Products Marketing Company, PPMC, has been unbundled, with the pipelines, depots and marketing separated for effective supply and distribution of refined petroleum products across the country. In Abuja, Hawa Salihu Adama, NTA News.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir David Lawal, has inaugurated the removal of invasive species of typhoid grass across the Komadugu-Yobe River Channel and 115 hectares of simplified irrigation system in Enugu, Yobe State. The project, covering 4 council areas in the state, was sponsored by the Presidential Initiative for the Northeast to invigorate its economy and improve the people's lives. Mustafa Yusuf Musa reports.
Presented by Senior Special Assistant on Political Matters, Mr. Gideon Samani, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir David Lawal, stated that the devastating effects of the typhoid grass along Komadugu Water Channel has in recent years deprived large number of people from fishing and dry season farming. In this regard, the Presidential Initiative for the Northeast sponsored the removal of typhoid grass in collaboration with communities along the river channel so as to open ways and enhance their means of livelihood. To further encourage the communities, Secretary to the Government of the Federation presented 14 engine boats, 28 local-made canoes, in addition to 115 pumping machines to support irrigation farming in the area.
We should first clear this terrible grass so that it will avail the farmers the place for irrigation, and the water will flow for the fishing and other irrigational activities.
We have contractors working in Adamawa, Gaya, so many places. They are all over. We are rehabilitating over 65 schools in the northeast currently.
Over 165 kilometers on the river was cleared of the typhoid grass. The Maturu, Mustafa Musa, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Presidential Committee on Flood Relief and Rehabilitation in Nigeria has flagged off the distribution of relief materials for the 2015 victims of flood disaster in Kwara State. Abdullahi Eleweltu reports that the Senior Special Advisor to Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed on Emergency and Relief Services, Alhaji Duro Mohammed, received the materials on behalf of the state government.
Items to be distributed include bags of rice, mattresses, zinc, cement, drugs, and mosquito nets, among others. Chairman of the committee, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, represented by Alhaji Gali Humar, said the Nigerian government is determined to ensure that victims of flood disaster receive meaningful support from the government.
That's why we are here today, to hand over those relief materials, which included food and non-food items, to the State Emergency Management for onward distribution to the affected victims.
The Senior Special Assistant to Kwara State Governor on Emergency and Relief Services, Alhaji Duro Mohammed, appreciated the federal government for the kind gesture. He noted that the state government is working round the clock to support the federal government's drive in alleviating the sufferings of the less privileged. In Ilorin, Abdullahi Elewetu, NTA News.
Lagos is where we'll go first, and Abdullahi is standing by to give us an update on the fear situation in that zone and other stories. Hello, Abdullahi, it's over to you now.
Isaac, good to see you and thanks for joining us here in Lagos. There appears to be some respite and ray of hope for Nigerians as independent marketers have begun lifting petrol from Lagos following the release of 7,000 pending tickets by the federal government. NTA News crew went to town to monitor the situation and reports that the long queues of vehicles at most filling stations are gradually disappearing.
Lagos metropolis shows that most of the filling stations are dispensing fuel. The long queues of vehicles at most filling stations experienced some weeks ago are fast disappearing. Motorists now drive into the filling stations with relative ease to buy fuel at the stipulated pump price.
There's improvement anyway, because as at last week, the queue was very hectic. But now, at least, let me say I've been here for just 30 minutes.
There's a little improvement in the sense that this morning they are moving faster compared to last week. I bought here last week. I move, but it's not as fast like today.
I came today, and today there was no much hassle. You understand? So it's moving fine.
The queue is very few now. It's not like last week.
Motorists appeals to the government to urgently find a lasting solution to the lingering fuel scarcity being experienced so as to ease the hardship of motorists.
Nigerian women have been charged to embrace virtues capable of making them role models in the society and strive to be financially independent in order to support their home front. The national president of the Catholic Women Organization gave the charge at the induction ceremony of new members in Lagos.
These are the newly inducted members of the Catholic Women Organization, pledging their allegiance to the Christian organization. The priest, in his homily titled Women of Faith, encouraged the mothers to hold on to God at all times while making prayer a part of our daily life. The national president of the Catholic Women Organization, while highlighting the role of women in the church and nation, explained that with a new mantle of leadership, the women must commit to the service of God and make meekness their watchword.
Now that they have been inducted, their role is that they should now come up in the church, be very, very active. Active in the sense that we have other groups in the church where they can function as church wardens, as lectors, as members of the choir.
As an inducted Catholic woman, you have to emulate the virtue of our Blessed Mother.
It means that we are pledging to uphold the Catholic faith. And what's expected of a Catholic woman is to trust in God and be humble.
The newly inducted women were joined by their families and parishioners in a Thanksgiving session. There was also a reception where guests were treated to delicious meals and good music.
We are expected to go along with that to bring up our children in the way of God.
Carry out the fragrance of Christ wherever I go.
The event provided a platform to raise 50 million naira to purchase a bus for evangelism. The ceremony coincided with this year's Mother's Day celebration.
And those are the stories making the rounds here in Lagos. It's back to Isaac, who has more stories in Abuja. Isaac.
Many thanks, Abdullahi. Mr. Joseph Shajin of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has been declared winner of the Kwali Area Council Chairmanship election in the FCT. Making this declaration at the INEC Area Council office in Kwali, the returning officer for the Kwali Chairmanship and Councillorship elections, Professor Simon Malankawe, says the APC candidate polled 15,309 votes to defeat 3 other candidates, including the incumbent chairman, Mr. Ibrahim Daniel of the PDP, who had 13,673 votes. Abdullahi Ajia was there and now reports.
Giving the people their right to choose their leaders.
Without being deterred of the Saturday disappointment, they came out in numbers for the exercise. At the close of the rescheduled elections, attention shifted to the INEC office in Kwali, the Coalition Center, where after competition of results from the 10 political wards of the council, the returning officer for the Kwali chairmanship election declared the winner.
Honorable Joseph K. Sardin of the APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
The declaration became good news to supporters of the winning party across Kwali town.
It's not something new. I have been doing that before. I was here 2010, so it's just to dust off the old books and continue from where I stopped.
We are dissatisfied with the situation. As for this election, the decision is for the chairman, the candidate self, whether to go to court or not to go to court.
Results also from the 10 political wards of the council declared show that the APC won in 6 wards while PDP won in 4 wards. From Kwali Area Council in Abuja, Abdullah, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Commissioner of Police on FCT elections, Folusha Adebanjo, has commended the electorate in the FCT for their peaceful conduct during the area council elections. He, however, warned that the police will not take lightly any breach of the law after the results have been announced. Safia Nauma Uche reports that the CP elections was accompanied on a monitoring exercise to Karishe and Orozo by other security agencies.
CP election FCT Folusha Adebanjo advises FCT residents to continue to be law-abiding and peaceful even after the announcement of the election results. He said the police will not take lightly any breach of peace in the territory.
We have gone around with all the security chiefs, and it's so wonderful to know that everything has gone perfectly well. There are no serious incidents to report, and I think we all did a good job, all the security agencies and INEC too. And all men have been warned to be extra vigilant from now on till the final results are collated and counted and winners declared, because this is exactly the critical time.
He said though the elections were peaceful, there were a few arrests of some persons who broke the election rules.
Few arrests have been made, no doubt about that. There have been some arrests. Elections should not be a do or die affair. If you don't win this time, you can win the next time or the next time. So people should not come out even if they lose and start being violent. We need peace in this country.
Some party agents present spoke to NTA News.
By the grace of God, the election here, there was no any violence, there was not a problem. No anything like ringing or matching someone. We try to make sure everything go free and fair.
I will give God glory. We thank God. Everything goes successfully.
The election of today is very interesting, and there's a lot of turnout for the election, no violence.
In Abuja, Safia Nauma Uche, NTA News.
Time now to take a break. Nationwide, we'll be back shortly with more reports. Stay with us.
You hear a bomb explosion or gunshots of an active shooter. That might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words. Run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Almost 2 years after the abduction of the Chibok schoolgirls, the need for extended efforts for their release is the focus on NTA Tuesday Live this week. Tuesday Live, informative, educative and analytical. Don't be told. Join us.
This week on Airtel Touching Lives. We visit a family dealing with the challenges of having a daughter with cerebral palsy.
The chair is going to help her to correct her disabilities.
And we meet Miracle Nwoke, who is deaf, mute, and suffering from an eye problem.
He was sick at a very tender age, and all of a sudden, the boy was no more hearing.
We must remain steadfast in our commitment to steer this country back to greatness.
He is one of the best brands that we have as a country, and we have to take advantage of that.
Look inwards and see how we'll be able to enhance our resources.
The problem of Nigeria is man-made. It's just a question of patience and cooperate with the government. Nigeria will go back to those better days.
The man who's leading us, he wouldn't talk much, but he does a lot.
We shall deliver security, jobs, and infrastructure. This is the right of all Nigerians. Our actions will speak for us.
Trying a shot, and he's got in, John Bessonou's fifth goal of the season, and what a spectacular...
Great Nigerian people, great Nigerian products, all made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria.
It's made in Nigeria.
Nice, made in Nigeria. Quality is guaranteed.
Nice, made in Nigerian good.
Made in Nigeria is where we are going now.
We're going to come to Made in Nigeria TV Expo and exhibition in April 2016, where go shell for the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. Features include grand opening ceremony, live concert, and showcasing of many Ogbonge quality products from our expert manufacturers and states. 5 days of TV Expo and exhibition for Made in Nigeria products and services. For further inquiries, we're going to contact our contact platforms or visit any NTA station near you. Think international, because our products are going international.
Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Thanks for staying with us. University faults consumption of local alcoholic beverages on health grounds. These and more with Mariam in our Just Network Center. Hello, Mariam. It's over to you.
Hello, Isaac. Good afternoon. You're welcome to Jos. Governor Simon Lalong says his administration will give priority to all contracts inherited from his predecessor that have direct bearing on the lives of Plateau citizens. The governor said this while inspecting projects in the southern and central zones in continuation of his tour of ongoing projects in the state. Paul Dama reports.
Governor Simon Lalong was welcomed amidst cheers and jubilation at the site of the bridge along Shandam-Kalung Road, which was constructed by the last administration, but is already giving way. The governor was briefed by the contractor and the permanent secretary, Ministry of Works, Sunday Hiat, where he was told that all necessary tests have been conducted to enable the contractor construct a new bridge, which will be completed in the next 12 months. The Longdorok, Miscom David Issa, underscored the importance of the road, especially in boosting commercial activities.
This is a very busy road, actually. It goes into the hinterland. The population and economic activity on this side here can only be imagined.
The governor then proceeded to Wase, where he was shown a section of the road that is already giving way as a result of erosion and the dilapidated state of the road.
He assured the people that government will intervene immediately. From Wase, the governor and his team were in Kanke to inspect the Shuwer-Dokpai Road and the construction of a bridge along the road. In Mangu, the chief executive of the state also inspected the Mangu-Bwai and Gindri roads, which are among contracts inherited, and maintained that government will justify every kobo spent in meeting the yearnings of the people.
We don't want to have so many abandoned projects on the plateau. So that is why we kept on selecting some of the projects that are very good and important to the people.
Other projects scheduled for inspection are in the health and education sectors. From the Central Senatorial Zone of the state, Paul Dama, NTA News.
The consumption of local alcoholic beverages have been found to contain various toxic substances which have adverse effects on the human reproductive system. Professor Noel Wanang of the Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences, University of Jos, made this disclosure at the 78th inaugural lecture of the institution. Ijoma Azemena has more.
The 78th in the series, the lecture brought to the fore the benefits of fruits and vegetables as against spices, candies, and additives, as according to him, the sources of food could constitute a major source of poison as it could be contaminated during processing. Professor Noel Wanang, whose lecture was centered on suicide by installments, a tale of poisophilicity, said although feeding is a daily need for normal body function, people are constantly at a risk of exposure to toxic substances.
You take cider drinks, you take wine, most of them contain saponins. Saponins are hemolytic, they destroy the red blood cells. And what do they do? Saponins produce the foam. Of course, when you want to know whether the drink is good, you shake. When you see the foam, you are happier. Some of those foams you see are products of saponin.
Professor Wanang stressed that drugs in large doses are poisons, adding that lead poisoning, which is common in the society, is found in cosmetics, cooking tools and vessels, leads to learning deficit and low intelligence quotient in children. He therefore advocated for public awareness on healthy living, especially now that life expectancy in the country is nosediving. Vice-Chancellor of the University of Jos, represented by Deputy Vice-Chancellor Administration, Professor Teresa Madu, said the lecture was timely and impactful on the audience. In Jos, Ijoma Ozemena, NTA News.
Were expressed by speakers at a one-day lecture on the importance of premarital screening organized by the Islamic Medical Association of Nigeria, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital, Bauchi. Abubakar Ali Wunti reports.
Premarital screening is an important tool in ensuring proper health care in the society, as it assists in reducing the spread of sexually transmitted disease. Speakers stressed the importance of premarital screening from the medical and Islamic perspective, with a view to finding lasting solution to the spread of diseases in the state. They advised Muslims to imbibe the habit of premarital screening before marriage for their benefit and that of the society. Delivering a lecture on the importance of premarital screening from the medical perspective, Professor Sambo Bello Zailani of Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital, Bauchi, said blood tests before marriage limit the spread of diseases as well as prevent social and psychological problems in the society.
We need to bring the two couples together that intend to get married. So we bring them together so that we can screen them for certain diseases such as sickle cell disease, HIV, and hepatitis.
Bauchi State Governor Muhammad Abubakar Abdullahi, represented by the Commissioner of Religious Affairs Muhammad Idris Abdullahi, commended the foresight of the association for enlightening public on the importance of premarital screening. Chairman Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital Branch of Islamic Medical Association and Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Dr. Muhammad Al-Ali, said the lecture is aimed at educating Muslim Ummah on the dangers of engaging in marital affairs without test and screening. From Bauchi, I am Abubakar Ali Wunti, NTA News.
We're done, Isaac. Have a good evening.
Many thanks, Mariam. 5 former staff of the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital have been arraigned before a federal high court for allegedly defrauding the hospital to the tune of over 140 million naira. Haman Jabani has the details.
They were arraigned before the court by Economic and Financial Crime Commission for fraud, forgery, and diversion of money to the tune of over 140 million naira between 2008 and 2011, when the accused were working with the finance department of the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital. They were alleged to have obtained money under false pretense for the coffers of the teaching hospital, with the intention to defraud it, masterminded and conceal the payment of monies punishable under Section 1, Subsection 3 of the Advanced Free Fraud and Other Fraud-Related Offences Act No. 14 of 2006.
And the case we have had today, they have been arraigned. There are different cases altogether, been duly arraigned, and the court ordered for them to be remanded in prison custody, pending which the case shall continue.
All the accused pleaded not guilty of all the charges, and the presiding judge, Justice Mohammed Tanko Salihu, denied them bail and directed that they be remanded in prison custody. In Maiduguri, Haman Jabani, NTA News.
Minister of Labour and Employment speaks on measures for job creation. Details from Enugu Network Center. And Chinyere will be our guide. Hello, Chinyere. It's good to see you.
See you too, Isaac, and welcome to Enugu. All is now set for the hosting of a World Economic Summit in Enugu to showcase the state's latent economic potentials to the world and attract prospective investors to the state. Chimobi Walter Naji has the situation report.
2016 Investment Economic Summit organized by Enugu State Government is expected to kickstart from the 12th of April to the 14th of April. All roads leading to Okpara Square, venue of the event, have been barricaded with the presence of security personnel to ensure adequate security throughout the period. Sanitary situation around the environment is being taken care of as staff of the Enugu State Waste Management Authority are on ground to clean the debris in the area. Deputy Director of the Summit and State Commissioner for Commerce, Mr. Sam Obunwebodo, said foreign participants in the summit are already on ground for the summit tagged Oganiru, which means moving forward. He pointed out that the summit will focus on power generation and distribution, agriculture processing, tourism and hospitality, ICT, as well as the industrial sector.
Enugu State has comparative advantage in some of these areas. We are going to focus on those areas where we have comparative advantage, where we can enable quick entry and operationalization of investments in the state.
Other key areas of focus in this summit will include solid minerals and mining, and of course, rail transportation to open up businesses in the southeast region of the country and Nigeria at large. In Enugu, Chimobi Walter Naji, NTA News.
The Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, says one of the present administration's policies is geared towards uplifting the standard of living of the average Nigerian with capital intervention schemes for microcredits on women empowerment. He was speaking at the end of Southeast APC zonal meeting held in Enugu. Chinayongoye reports.
The National Vice Chairman, Southeast APC Chief Ima Enugu, was the convener of the meeting, which had in attendance the Chairman, APC Governors Forum, and Imo State Governor who was represented, national officers of APC from the Southeast, as well as past National Assembly members who are now members of the party.
We have convened this meeting to rub minds on how to move the party forward in the Southeast.
Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, said the anti-corruption crusade of President Buhari has helped in the recovery of all looted public funds, which would assist in job creation, building and rehabilitating industries.
We're also here to tell the people of the Southeast that our president is doing well. When a president comes on or chief executive comes on, there are some intangible things he would be doing. You won't see them, but they will materialize with time.
After extensive deliberation, The meeting expressed belief that the political fortunes of the Igbos are realizable in the short run in APC and mandated all APC Southeast chairmen to constitute a mobilization committee in the various states to woo credible Igbo personalities into the party. They, however, called on groups agitating for separation from a united Nigeria to rethink and join the other tribes in building a formidable united Nigeria. In Enugu, Chinenye, NTA News.
In order to entrench lasting peace and harmony between Fulani herdsmen and host communities, the Enugu state government and Fulani herdsmen operating in parts of the state have agreed to set up a joint standing committee. This was the outcome of a meeting between the herdsmen and Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi at the government house in Enugu. Ijoma Ugweke has more.
Ugwuanyi, while explaining the objectives of the meeting to the herdsmen, who came in their numbers under Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Southeast Zone, said there is urgent need to forge a more harmonious coexistence in view of the danger posed by the incessant clashes in some parts of the state.
It has become imperative that we come together under this kind of forum to exchange frank views and ideas as to how we can jointly together reverse the current trend and consequently preserve the peace.
The governor pointed out that loss of lives and property arising from such crises is avoidable and stressed the need for caution to forestall further occurrence. The group leader, Gidado Sadiq, enumerated incidents that brought about the bitter relationships between them and their host communities and appealed to the governor to do all within his powers to reverse the situation.
As we struggle to handle the immediate problem in our house, there should be conscious and organized effort to recreate this lopsided mindset.
The meeting sought other ways of arresting the growing insecurity generated by frictions between herdsmen and their host communities. In Enugu, Ijomu Gweke, NTA News.
As our report concludes our package from here, it's back to you, Isaac. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you too, Chinyere. Heroin worth 337 million naira has been intercepted by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport, Kano. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports.
The operation was carried out following an inward examination and clearance of a luggage on Ethiopian airline flight from Addis Ababa intercepted 10.6 kilograms of high-grade pure heroin worth 200 million naira. Commander of the agency in Malam Aminu Kano International Airport, Ambrose Umaru, says the exhibit, which originated from Maputo, Mozambique, en route Addis Ababa to Kano, was concealed on an 8 submersible water pump machines inside 2 cartons wrapped with Vodacom transparent cell phone leather. Also, he says, a total of 93 kilograms of narcotic drugs consisting of 22 kilograms of methamphetamine worth 66 million naira and 71 kilograms of ephedrine worth 71 million naira concealed in cartons of pressing irons mixed with hair attachments were also seized by the command.
This year alone, we have been able to record 2 spectacular convictions.
From Kano, Muhammad Rabi Ali, NTA News.
Uniport shuts down as students protest school fees. Details of these and more from our Port Harcourt Network Center, where Mina is standing by. It's all yours now, Mina.
Thank you so much, Isaac. Good afternoon and welcome to Port Harcourt. Students of the University of Port Harcourt have staged a protest over alleged refusal of some students to write their first semester exams by the management of the institution due to the failure to pay their fees. Emmanuel Lene reports that the protest paralyzed social and economic activities in the area.
The protesting students barricaded the east-west road and other major entrances into the institution. Some of the protesting students alleged that the institution's policy on payment of school fees was anti-students, noting that the decision not to allow some of the students to commence their first semester exams was frustrating.
Before now, we have what they call surcharge, whereby if students can't meet up to
payment of school fees, they are allowed to write exams, and which later, before graduation, come to complete the payment and then take their results.
In a telephonic chat with NTA News, Deputy Registrar Public Affairs Mr. Williams Woody said the students refused to comply with the policy on payment of school fees.
98% of the students complied, but unfortunately, about 2% of them refused to pay, and we opened the website February 12th. Not many of them still paid. On 30th March, Friday, we declared it lecture free to enable everybody pay and then go back to write exams. By April 7th, midnight, we shut it down, finally.
So is it true that anybody that refuses to pay, we have to repeat the entire session?
Absolutely correct.
The protest disrupted all economic activities within and outside the institution. In Port Harcourt, Emmanuel Lene, NTA News.
200 residents of Herdsmen community in Obiakpo local government area of Rivers State have benefited from a free humanitarian and medical outreach organized by the 97th Special Operations Group, Nigerian Air Force Port Harcourt. Emmanuel Lene once again reports that the medical outreach is part of activities marking the 52nd anniversary of the Nigerian Air Force in Nigeria.
The humanitarian and medical outreach formed part of the week-long activities to mark the 52nd anniversary of the Nigerian Air Force, with the theme Uniting for Enhanced Service Delivery and Operational Effectiveness. Commander and the 7th Special Operations Group, Air Commodore Charles Owo, said the program is a way of saying thank you to the host community and win the heart and mind of the community in line with the vision and directive of the Chief of Air Staff.
Being a community where the Nigerian Air Force is domiciled, we felt it was necessary to reach out to them because some of them are not privileged to enjoy the sophisticated medical services that the Nigerian Air Force are providing.
I believe it's a very viable and very, very important project because it affects the health welfare of our people.
The event featured lecture and demonstration on first aid treatment for heart attack, burns, and other diseases. The patients were tested and treated on various diseases, including blood pressure, free eye tests and free glasses, malaria, free drugs, and distribution of treated mosquito nets.
I thank the Nigerian Air Force so much.
Other activities to mark the anniversary were Jumat, an interdenominational church service held at the Air Force Base in Port Harcourt. In Port Harcourt, Emmanuel Lene, NTA News.
Stronger ties have been fostered between the Nigerian Television Authority Uyo, Akwa Ibom State and its host community. Didong Eba reports on the visit by the traditional ruler of Ofodokwa clan, Etebong Sylvanus Okon, to the management of NTA Uyo.
NTA Channel 12 Uyo is hosted by 3 communities, 2 of which, Aka and Atan, are part of the Ofodokwa clan in Uyo local government area of Akwa Ibom State. The clan head of Ofodokwa clan, Etebong Sylvanus Okon, commended the Nigerian Television Authority, Uyo, for their role in not just informing and educating the public, but for also ensuring the peace of their immediate community.
In our community, we don't have any misunderstanding. If there is any problem, we sit on the round table and iron it out.
Others in the entourage of the clan head, including the village head of Aka community, Etidong Francis Morgan, appealed for the consideration of members of the community in employment. Responding, the General Manager NTA Channel 12 Uyo, Elder Chidi Uluka, reiterated the station's commitment to the promotion of the cultures and traditions of their host communities.
For the fact that God has put in that place, we will continue to give respect and honor you and to continue to do whatever we ought to do in order to give support to your leadership.
The visit, according to the clan head, Etebong Sylvanus Okon, is part of his familiarization tour of the 22 communities that make up the clan. In Uyo, Edidion Iba, NTA News.
That's a bit from Port Harcourt. Isaac, is back to you for the rest of Nationwide.
Many thanks, Mida. Way to go. Now on the foreign scene, U.S. President Barack Obama says the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi of Libya was the worst mistake as Egyptian court jails ex-minister. These and more on Global Tidbits with Gabriel Odu.
While answering questions on his administration, President Obama said the removal of the Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi without adequately preparing for the consequences was indeed a huge mistake. This is coming against the backdrop of Libya becoming a hotbed of militias. And in Egypt, a court has sentenced a former Minister of Agriculture, Salah Eddin Helal, for 10 years in jail and a fine of $110,000 for collecting bribes in return for land. In Somalia comes a report that a suicide bomber has killed at least 5 people and injured many near a busy restaurant at the capital, Mogadishu. Away from Africa now, in Japan, the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry has visited Hiroshima, where about 140,000 people were killed when the United States dropped an atomic bomb in 1945. John Kerry is the first U.S. Secretary of State to visit Hiroshima. That's Global Tidbit. Gabriel Udu, NTA News.
And sports now, Nigeria's Super Falcons hoping to qualify for Africa Women Nations Cup at the expense of Senegal as Willet emerges Augusta Masters champion. Amanze Marcos tells us about this in our sports update.
Nigeria Super Falcons on Tuesday played the Lioness of Senegal in the return leg of the Africa Women Nations Cup last round qualifier. The first leg in Dakar ended 1-1 and the Nigerians are optimistic of victory at the Abuja National Stadium. Meanwhile, Kenya hosts Algeria while South Africa are at home against Botswana. Tunisia are away to Ghana in the 4th Africa Women Nations Cup qualifying matches for Tuesday. Zimbabwe and Equatorial Guinea have qualified to the November 2016 Africa Women Nations Cup in Cameroon at the expense of Zambia and Mali after weekend matches. Meanwhile, Real Madrid are determined to overturn a 2-goal deficit against Wolfsburg on Tuesday in the return leg of the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League holding at the Santiago Bernabeu in Spain. Manchester City, England's last surviving club in the competition, needs a win or at most a 1-1 draw as the